Hello, hi. Myself Dr.P.SHIVARANJANI, Academic Coordinator, Department of Graphics, Creative Design and Data Analytics. So, I'm here to present a lecture series on operating system. Under storage management, we are going to see the overview of mass storage. So, before getting into the topic, we'll see what is meant by memory. Computer memory is the storage space in the computer where the data is processed and the instruction required for the processing are stored in the memory. And the diagram represents the different types of memory units for your review. And the next thing is classifications of memory. The memory can be classified into two different types. One is called as an internal memory and another one is called as an external memory. The internal memory is also called as a primary memory and external memory is also called as a secondary memory. In internal memory there are two different types, that is we also call it as a cache memory, RAM, sequential access, virtual, ROM. And in external memory there are three types. One is called as a magnetic and another one is called as solid state and third one is called as an optical. So we'll see one by one. So first is primary memory. The processor or a computer initially or directly accessing the primary memory using a computer. It enables a process to access a program and service that are now in use and temporarily stored in a particular area of memory. The primary memory, or also called as main memory, the volatile storage component of the computer system, is primary memory. The secondary memory is also called as non-volatile memory, the permanent computer memory that is not directly accessed by the computer or processor. The data that can be quickly and easily retrieved, transmitted, and utilized by apps and services can be stored by the user and then used in this matter. The read-only memory is also called as ROM, flash drive, hard disk drive, magnetic tapes, and other forms of internal and external storage media are called or constantly called as secondary memory. Even if the computer is not power on, the data can be stored and retained in secondary memory, which is slower than the primary memory. Let us see the difference between the primary memory and the secondary memory. In primary memory is also called as a primarily known as main memory or primary storage memory, and the secondary memory is also called as primarily known as secondary memory storage. The primary memory are also called as internal memory, whereas in the secondary memory is also called as an auxiliary memory or backup memory or additional memory. The primary memory is more costed than the secondary memory, whereas in the case of secondary memory is less costed than the secondary memory. The primary memory is said to be faster than secondary memory, and whereas in the case of the secondary memory is said to be slower than the primary memory. The next difference is it stores the information or the data that processing unit is currently using. Usually the capacity ranges from 16 gigabytes, that is 16 GB, to 32 GB bytes in the case of your primary memory, whereas in the case of your secondary memory it has been substantially amount of informations and data storage, typically called as capacity ranges from 2000 GB to terabytes. The primary memory can also be divided as volatile and non-volatile memories, whereas in the case of your secondary memory can be classified as non-volatile memory only. The data can be preserved in the event of power outage since it is volatile memory. Because it has non-volatile memory, the informations may be kept even in the event of the power outage. The next one is mass storage structure. The system designed to store enormous volume of data or referred to as a mass storage devices. The massive storage device are sometimes used interactively with the peripheral storage, which is the magnetic of the bigger volume of data that are larger than the native storage capacity of computer or devices. The basic idea of mass storage is to create a data backup or data recovery system. The mass storage structure devices are magnetic disk, solid state disk, and magnetic tape. The diagram depicts the structure of the mass storage structure. The first case is your magnetic disk is nothing but the process of magnetizing is used to read or write and access the data on the magnetic disk storage devices. This process is also known as magnetic disk. It is coated magnetically and has a track spots and sectors for storing data. The basic common examples of magnetic disk are floppy disk, hard disk, zip disk. The diagram depicts the structure of the magnetic disk. The structure and working of magnetic disk. A mechanism arm that travel across the revolving magnetic surface known as platter make up the majority of magnetic disk. They come together to make up a combo. Both reading from and writing to the disk are done by using the mechanical arms. The magnetization process is used to read and write data on magnetic disk. One or more disk-shaped patlers with magnetic material covered them. Unlike floppy disk, which are composed of more flexible plastic, hard disk platlers are built of stiff materials. There are two types of work area on each plates. They are very top and bottom surface of the stack of platters are associally avoided by the older hard disk drive because they are more prone to damage or even breaking in some cases. The time needed to move the head from one cylinder to another and from the head to settle down after the transfer is also known as the positioning time, also known as seat time or random access time. This is usually the storage that moves slowly and is the main obstacle to the high transfer rate. The time it takes for requesting sector to spin and enter the read-write heads is known as rotational latency. The next one is solid state disk. It's also called as SSD. It functions as a tiny, quick hard disk using a memory technology to maintain the informations over power cycles. Certain implementations may be employ either flash memory or dynamic RAM chip product by batteries. Due to the lack of moving component, SSD operates more quicker than the conventional hard drives, and some issues such as scheduling of disk access simply does not exist. SSD do not have certain drawbacks to include the fact that they are cost more than hard drives and are often smaller and have shorter lifespans. The next one is magnetic tape. Prior to the advent of hard disk drive, magnetic tapes were frequently utilized for secondary storage. Today they are mostly used for backups. It might take to get a specific locations on the magnetic tape, but once the reading or writing starts, access rates are on the bar with the disk drives. The tape drive capacity may be anywhere from 20 and 200 GB, and compression can increase the capacity by double. Thank you for listening.